You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, we're obviously coming off of the cataclysmic 9-0 unanimous decision forcing the Trump administration at the hands of the Supreme Court to bring back wrongly deported, by virtue of an administrative error, Abrego Garcia. Now, the Trump administration had to go back to the district court level and figure out the intricacies of that thing. So the federal government met with the judge, met with Abrego Garcia's lawyers today. Can you explain what just happened in court?
Yeah, Brian, there was a lot of give and take, and it seemed to get heated at times because I don't know why, but it seems like the Trump administration is determined to drag its feet, even though the Trump administration, the DOJ lawyers admitted that what they did was unlawful. And the Supreme Court, in no uncertain terms, said it was unlawful, it was unconstitutional, a violation of due process. It was in violation of a federal judge's order that Garcia not be deported specifically to the country of El Salvador. But they went back into federal district court in Maryland, where the case originated. And, you know, the DOJ lawyers tried to make it seem like, we just need to know more about what a 4-paragraph, basically, Supreme Court ruling means. And here is the problem. The Supreme Court's ruling by the majority of the justices, even though it was unanimous, it said, well, we understand that the Maryland federal judge ordered the Trump administration to, quote, facilitate and effectuate Garcia's return. The Supreme Court said, we know what facilitate means, but gosh, we're trying to figure out what effectuate means, and we want the trial court judge in Maryland to explain what she meant by effectuate. I swear, Brian, it made me feel like we were back in that congressional hearing when Bill Barr had to grapple with what the word suggest means.
Yeah, I think, that's all. Remember back to the days of like Bill Clinton? That depends on what your definition of is, sometimes these politicians just can't give it up.
Yeah. The problem now is the DOJ lawyers jumped on that and they said, well, Judge, we need to understand what you mean by effectuate. And then there's another line in the Supreme Court opinion that I would say the DOJ lawyers used as an excuse to try to engender more delay into this process. And let me tell you, they are playing with the life of Mr. Garcia, who fled El Salvador because he was receiving death threats and his parents were being extorted. A judge in the United States ordered that he not go back to El Salvador because his life is in danger. And now you've got these DOJ lawyers playing this stupid, dangerous, hopefully not deadly game of delay. But here's the other line in the Supreme Court opinion. The Supreme Court justices said, well, the government, the Trump administration, should be prepared to share what it can with the trial court judge concerning the steps it has taken and the prospect of further steps, if that's not sufficiently mealy-mouthed. And so what did the DOJ lawyers argue today? Well, the Supreme Court said, we should be prepared to share what we can, Judge. We're not yet prepared to share anything. We need some more time. We need some more information. So, this is an ugly game the Trump administration is playing. So here is what the judge said, Judge Xinis. She said that she is ordering the Trump administration to take all available steps to facilitate the return. Interestingly, she got rid of the word effectuate altogether from her order. Facilitate the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States as soon as possible. And the judge put them on a short leash and said, I want immediate and frequent updates on Mr. Garcia's location, on Mr. Garcia's status, and on what steps you have taken and what steps you intend to take to facilitate his return. So I think they're going to be back in court early and often until the federal courts, get out of the Trump administration what they ordered them to do.
Glenn, I'm going to read a quote from the judge. She said, I hope you will in good faith comply, and we'll take it from there. I do know that I want daily updates until this matter is resolved. If your daily update is 0, then that is what it will be. It's important to go on record as to what you're doing or not doing. So this sounds a little bit deferential to kind of put all of this in the hands of a Trump administration, which, on its face would be fine if it was a normal administration, but this is an administration that's already shown itself to be acting in bad faith. So why give them that deference? Why say that I hope you will in good faith comply and we'll take it from there, knowing that these people will get an inch and take a mile?
Yeah, I don't know. I read that same quote and I was disheartened because the Trump administration acting in good faith when it comes to the way they deal with immigration matters is like me saying, well, I hope that, a unicorn lands in my backyard wearing a saddlebag filled with $1 million. I mean, I think what the judge needs to do is set hard and fast deadlines, guidelines, and measuring sticks to get this damn thing done, or else the Trump administration is going to continue, in my opinion, to play these dangerous, and I'm going to say it again, hopefully not deadly games with Mr. Garcia's life.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, every day that they're pursuing these delays is another day that his life could be in danger. I mean, we don't even know if he is alive right now by virtue of the fact that they're presenting all of these dilatory tactics, these delay tactics. And so isn't there some pressure that should be placed on the court not to just kind of give deference to the Trump administration, but know that there is a life or death scenario unfolding and that we have a vested interest in making sure that there is no delay, that they just get this person back immediately because he shouldn't be there?
Absolutely. And instead of saying, I hope the government acts in good faith, if it were me, I would say, by tomorrow at noon, I will expect concrete information updating his status, letting me know he's okay, and telling me what steps you have taken and when you intend to have him back on U.S. soil. Or I will be setting a show cause order for you to show cause why Trump administration officials should not be held in contempt of court. This is the way things need to proceed, because waiting and hoping for goodwill from the Trump administration is no kind of plan.
And so when do you think that we will move from, what does the federal government need to do to move from a posture of, I hope you'll comply in good faith and we'll just see what happens next, to, we need some information tomorrow at noon. I'm putting on the schedule a show cause hearing and we need some answers here. What is the impetus for it to go from one to the other?
Well, as of right now, Brian, what the judge directed was, quote, all available steps to facilitate his return must be taken, and I, the judge, want immediate, her word, updates on location, status, what steps have been taken, and what steps you intend to take. So then I think you need to haul them back into court tomorrow, perhaps, or Monday, hopefully not Monday, and get that concrete information. And if they fall down on the job, if they violate that directive from the court, you have to go hard. You have to move to the next stage, which is potential contempt proceedings. Absent that, this could linger, and again, it can linger to Mr. Garcia's detriment.
And do you have any idea, in your own opinion, as to whether this would be the hill that the Trump administration opts to die on in terms of refusing to comply with the court orders? And this, by the way, isn't just a federal district court. This is also a directive that was handed down from the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled 9-0 in favor of Abrego Garcia being returned to the United States. And so this wouldn't just be defying this federal judge, this federal district court judge. It would also be in defiance of 9 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, Brian, as recently as yesterday, you and I were talking about how, we were in agreement that this doesn't seem like the hill the Trump administration wants to die on when it comes to immigration matters, because they've already admitted literally on the record that what they did was, quote, illegal. They agreed with that. Yeah. It was unconstitutional. It was in violation of a court order. But here is what my concern is, and this concern is rising as I listen to what went on in federal court today after the Supreme Court sent the case back. I almost feel like the Trump administration is afraid that if courts successfully order the administration to return anybody from overseas, they are going to lose the ability moving forward to ship people overseas and resist court orders directing them to be brought back. In other words, it will set a precedent, maybe an actual legal precedent, or maybe just an atmospheric precedent. And I'm beginning to think that's why they are playing this game with the courts. They don't want to be ordered to do something that they think may hamper their ability to successfully disappear, deport people in the future. But that's just kind of me projecting what I think their bad faith motives might be.
And finally, last question, and you had alluded to this, I think, just a few moments ago, but we're obviously, heading into a weekend. Do the courts stop? I mean, the danger that this person is facing isn't gonna be mitigated just by virtue of the fact that it's Saturday or Sunday. But does the court system stop? Does the Trump administration's requirements stop just because we're heading into a weekend?
No, the courts do not stop. In the ordinary course of business, the courts are doing business Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. However, we have seen not infrequently in this second Trump go-round, judges working until midnight, judges working Saturday mornings, judges working Sunday afternoons. So especially in the immigration and deportation arena, Judge Boasberg, for example, when the first plane load of hundreds of Venezuelan immigrants were unconstitutionally deported to El Salvador, Judge Boasberg in Washington, D.C. was issuing orders late Friday night, well into the early morning hours of Saturday. So I suspect we're going to see the same treatment given to Mr. Garcia's case by Judge Xinis in Maryland.
Got it. Well, with that said, you and I will continue to cover this stuff as soon as we have any updates. For those who are watching, if you want to follow along as we continue to get this breaking news, as we continue to stay on top of these cases, the best way to do that is to subscribe to our channels. It's also the best way to support independent media more broadly. So I'll put the links to both of our channels right here on the screen. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
And I'm Glenn Kirshner.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown.